In a courtroom showdown that no one saw coming, former congressional candidate Karoline Leavitt found herself in the crosshairs of a judge who had no idea what he was getting himself into. What started as a routine hearing quickly spiraled into chaos when the judge, known for his controversial rulings and arrogant demeanor, took it upon himself to publicly humiliate Leavitt. But within moments, the tables turned in a way that left the entire courtroom gasping in shock. The insult that sparked it all. Eyewitnesses report that as Leavitt passionately defended her case, the judge, smirking with condescension, cut her off mid-sentence. "Miss Leavitt, you're out of your league here. This isn't a campaign rally," he sneered, rolling his eyes as if her arguments weren't worth his time. Gasps filled the courtroom as murmurs of discontent spread among those watching. Little did the judge know, Leavitt had an ace up her sleeve. With an icy calm, she locked eyes with him and uttered a single sentence that sent a chill down everyone's spine. "I hope you're aware that your time on this bench is running out." The shocking twist that no one expected. Before the judge could even process her words, the courtroom doors burst open. U.S. Marshals stormed in, their badges flashing, their expressions deadly serious. "Judge Thompson," one of them announced, "you're under arrest." The entire courtroom fell into stunned silence as the once powerful judge, who had spent years wielding his authority over others, now found himself on the receiving end of justice. The marshals wasted no time slapping handcuffs on his wrists as gasps and whispers filled the room. The truth comes out. As it turns out, Leavitt had been one step ahead the entire time. She had been working with legal experts to expose a web of corruption that traced straight to the judge's chambers. A damning investigation revealed that he had been accepting bribes in exchange for favorable rulings, manipulating verdicts, and using his position to silence those who dared challenge him. When federal authorities finally had enough evidence, they coordinated with Leavitt's team, knowing the best way to catch the judge off guard was during a high-profile case, one that he thought would be an easy opportunity to flex his unchecked power. Justice served. As the disgraced judge was led out of the courtroom, his once arrogant expression replaced by sheer humiliation, Karoline Leavitt stood tall, victorious. What had started as an attempt to embarrass her had ended with one of the most corrupt figures in the legal system finally facing justice. The public's reaction was swift and fiery. Social media erupted with praise for Leavitt's courage and determination, with many calling this a defining moment in the fight against judicial corruption. One thing is clear, Karoline Leavitt is not a woman to be underestimated. And as for the now former judge, his days of power are over, and his new home has steel bars. In a stunning and unexpected turn of events, conservative firebrand Karoline Leavitt found herself kicked out of a high-end restaurant. But what she did next has left the entire country talking. The incident that sparked outrage. According to witnesses, Leavitt walked into the upscale establishment expecting a normal evening, but the manager had other plans. Whether it was political bias or something deeper, the manager reportedly refused her service and ordered her to leave immediately. The scene was tense, with shocked diners watching as Leavitt stood her ground. Instead of backing down or causing a scene, Leavitt responded with calm confidence, but her next move sent shockwaves across the nation. Her response was nothing like they expected. Rather than walking away in defeat, Leavitt turned the tables in a way no one could have predicted. Not only did she challenge the restaurant's actions, but she also took to social media, exposing what happened in a fiery post that instantly went viral. Within hours, the restaurant was flooded with backlash, boycotts, and demands for accountability. But she didn't stop there. In a power move, Leavitt hosted an impromptu gathering right outside the restaurant, turning a humiliating moment into a rallying cry for free speech and fairness. Videos of the moment show hundreds of supporters showing up, proving that she wasn't the one being rejected, the restaurant was. The fallout was immediate. The restaurant, now facing massive backlash, scrambled to do damage control, but the damage was already done. Meanwhile, Leavitt's response only strengthened her support, with even critics admitting that she handled the situation with grace, intelligence, and power. Political commentators are now calling this one of the boldest public responses in recent memory, showing that Leavitt isn't just a rising star, she's a force to be reckoned with. What happens next? Will the restaurant issue an apology? Will Leavitt take legal action? One thing is certain, this moment has only made her stronger, and those who try to silence her might just regret it. Stay tuned, because if history has shown us anything, Karoline Leavitt in EVER backs down. In a jaw-dropping courtroom twist, rising conservative star Karoline Leavitt found herself on the receiving end of a judge's ruling, only for the legal system to be turned on its head moments later. What started as a routine legal matter quickly spiraled into a spectacle that left the judge, the courtroom, and the nation in utter shock. Leavitt, known for her bold rhetoric and razor-sharp debate skills, stood before a seasoned judge who seemingly had the upper hand. In a swift decision, the judge issued a fine against Leavitt, confident in his ruling. However, what happened next was nothing short of astonishing. Rather than accepting the penalty without question, Leavitt calmly and methodically dismantled the judge's argument with an in-depth knowledge of legal precedent and constitutional law that few expected. With precision and eloquence, she cited case law, exposed inconsistencies in the ruling, and made a compelling case for why the fine was unjust. The courtroom fell silent as the judge, initially dismissive, was forced to reconsider his stance. His expression shifted from confidence to uncertainty, and finally to reluctant admiration. In an unprecedented move, the judge rescinded the fine, acknowledging Leavitt's airtight argument and legal prowess. Social media erupted, with clips of the moment spreading like wildfire. Supporters praise Leavitt as a fearless fighter who refuses to back down, while even skeptics admitted to being impressed by her legal intellect. Experts weighed in, with some suggesting that Leavitt's stunning performance could signal a future career in law, or even the highest levels of political leadership. One thing is certain, Karoline Leavitt walked into that courtroom as a defendant, but left as a legend. This legal showdown will go down in history as the day a judge underestimated her, only to realize he was facing a true legal genius. In a television showdown that no one saw coming, conservative firebrand Karoline Leavitt found herself locked in a heated exchange with a notoriously combative talk show host. But what happened next left millions of Americans in stunned silence. Leavitt, known for her sharp wit and unwavering stance on conservative values, appeared on the program expecting tough questions, but not outright hostility. From the moment she took her seat, the host, whose reputation for aggressive interviewing precedes him, wasted no time in attempting to undermine her. Interruptions, dismissive laughter, and pointed attacks marked the opening minutes of the interview, setting the stage for what would become an unforgettable moment in television history. But Leavitt was not one to back down. With poise and precision, she countered every jab with undeniable facts and a composed demeanor. As tensions escalated, The audience could feel the electricity in the air then. In a stunning twist, the host's frustration boiled over. He launched into a rant that not only exposed his bias, but also left the entire studio in a stunned hush. The exchange was so shocking that even his co-hosts appeared visibly uncomfortable. What followed was an eruption across social media. Clips of the confrontation spread like wildfire, with many praising Leavitt's composure under pressure. Viewers across the nation weighed in, with reactions ranging from outrage at the host's behavior to admiration for Leavitt's unwavering resolve. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. Karoline Leavitt's fearless confrontation has cemented her status as a rising conservative star, while the host's outburst may have cost him dearly. In an era where political discourse often turns contentious, this moment will be remembered as a defining clash, one that left America speechless. Whoopi never saw it coming. Television audiences were left stunned and laughing as Karoline Leavitt once again took Whoopi Goldberg to task in a fiery live TV exchange that left the liberal host red-faced and speechless. The explosive moment happened during a heated debate on The View, where Whoopi, known for her bold opinions and dismissive attitude, thought she could corner Leavitt with her usual talking points. Big mistake. As Whoopi smugly tried to lecture Leavitt, the young conservative powerhouse fired back with razor-sharp wit, completely flipping the script on Whoopi's argument. The audience erupted in gasps and laughter, and even some of Whoopi's co-hosts looked visibly shocked at how quickly the tables had turned. As clips of the showdown immediately went viral, social media erupted. Leavitt just destroyed Whoopi on her OWNSHOW. Absolutely brutal. Whoopi looked like she was buffering in real life. Karoline is UNSTOPPABLA. The left just got a reality check LIVE on air. This was GOLD. This isn't the first time Karoline Leavitt has dismantled Whoopi Goldberg on live TV, and at this rate, it certainly won't be the last. One thing is clear, Whoopi might want to think twice before stepping into the ring with Leavitt again. The internet can't stop laughing. Whoopi Goldberg thought she could ambush Karoline Leavitt on The View, but she ended up walking straight into the most humiliating on-air defeat of her career. It all started when Whoopi, clearly underestimating Leavitt yet again, tried to mock her stance on free speech and conservative values. With a smug grin, Whoopi launched into one of her classic lectures, expecting Leavitt to sit back and take it. But instead of getting defensive, Leavitt unleashed a masterclass in verbal warfare that left Whoopi stammering for words. Whoopi, you've spent years telling Americans what to think while demanding everyone else stay silent. If hypocrisy had a talk show, it'd be called The View. BOOM. The audience ERUPTED. Whoopi tried to fire back, but it was too late. Leavitt, with the precision of a seasoned debater, kept hitting her with one devastating truth bomb after another. Funny how you say conservatives are the real threats to democracy, yet you cut off anyone who doesn't agree with you. I thought diversity included diverse opinions too? The crowd gasped, and even Whoopi's co-hosts looked nervous. Whoopi, scrambling to recover, fumbled through an awkward excuse, but the damage was already done. The internet exploded within minutes. WHOPIGOLDBERGGOTO UTAL EOYWRECKED She had no comeback. Leavitt just walked into the view and turned it into a roast session. Whoopi's Wi-Fi disconnected mid-sentence. She was glitching. By the time the segment ended, Whoopi was visibly shaken, while Leavitt sat there calm, collected, and victorious. A courtroom showdown no one saw coming. The air in the packed courtroom was thick with tension. Every seat was filled, the audience brimming with reporters, legal analysts, and citizens eager to witness what was expected to be just another routine hearing. But what unfolded next would leave everyone in stunned silence. Karoline Leavitt, the young, confident political firebrand, had stepped into the courtroom ready to battle. What she didn't expect was a condescending judge who seemed more interested in belittling her than upholding justice. The judge's arrogant mistake. Judge Robert Alderman, a longtime judicial figure with a reputation for ruling with an iron fist, sat high above the courtroom, a smirk playing on his lips. His condescending tone dripped with mockery as he leaned forward, peering down at Karoline. "Miss Leavitt," he drawled, "do you even understand the complexities of this case, or are you just here for a little media attention?" A murmur of laughter rippled through the courtroom, but Karoline remained unfazed. She had faced bigger opponents before she wasn't about to let a pompous judge humiliate her. Karoline's epic response. Instead of taking the bait, Karoline slowly stepped forward, her heels clicking sharply against the polished wooden floor. She met the judge's gaze head-on, her voice steady and unwavering. "With all due respect, Your Honor," she began, "perhaps it is you who should brush up on the law. Because according to Section 148 of the Federal Ethics Code, what you just dismissed as irrelevant is, in fact, the cornerstone of this case." Gasps filled the room. The judge's smug expression faltered, his face turning a shade paler. He cleared his throat, attempting to maintain his composure. "That is an interesting interpretation," he muttered. But Karoline wasn't finished. She turned and addressed the jury, her passion igniting the room. She laid out the case with such precision, citing legal precedent after precedent, that even the most hardened skeptics in the courtroom sat forward, completely enraptured. The courtroom turns against the judge. As she spoke, something remarkable happened. Other lawyers in the room began nodding. The whispers among legal analysts turned into outright agreement. The tide had shifted. Judge Alderman, who had moments before been dismissive, now found himself on the defensive. He shuffled through his papers, searching desperately for a counterpoint, but it was too late. Karoline had exposed a gaping flaw in his reasoning. And then the unthinkable happened. The judge's shocking admission. With sweat beading on his brow, Judge Alderman leaned forward, his voice now subdued. "Miss Leavitt, I must admit, I may have underestimated you." Silence. Then a slow clap started from the back of the room. It spread like wildfire, turning into thunderous applause. Even opposing counsel couldn't help but nod in respect. Karoline Leavitt had not only defended her case, she had dismantled the judge's arrogance in front of everyone. The aftermath, a career-defining moment. News outlets erupted with headlines. Karoline Leavitt schools judge in stunning courtroom battle. Judge's mockery backfires as Leavitt stuns the court with legal brilliance. Young political star destroys arrogant judge in historic legal showdown. As Karoline walked out of the courtroom, her phone buzzed with calls from major media networks. Her name was now synonymous with intelligence, bravery, and unshakable confidence. And as for Judge Alderman, well, let's just say that after that day, he never dared underestimate Karoline Leavitt or any young powerhouse ever again. An unexpected turn of events at a busy airport. A flight attendant found herself at the center of controversy after refusing to allow Karoline Leavitt, a well-known conservative political figure, to board her flight. What happened next left everyone in shock. The incident at the gate. Karoline Leavitt, a rising star in conservative politics, arrived at the airport, ready to board her flight for an important event. Dressed professionally and carrying only a small bag, she proceeded to the gate like any other passenger. However, as she handed her boarding pass to the attendant, she was met with an unexpected response. The flight attendant, later identified as a vocal liberal activist on social media, took one look at Leavitt and smirked. According to multiple eyewitnesses, the attendant refused to scan her ticket and, instead, crossed her arms. "I'm sorry, but we can't allow you on this flight," she reportedly said, her voice dripping with condescension. Leavitt, taken aback, asked why. "I don't have to explain myself," the attendant allegedly responded. "People like you spread misinformation and hate. We don't need that energy on board." Passengers react. The passengers around them, many of whom recognized Leavitt, began murmuring in disbelief. Some even pulled out their phones to record the encounter. One elderly man in line spoke up. "She paid for a ticket, just like the rest of us. You can't refuse her because of her political beliefs." Another woman chimed in, "That's discrimination. She has every right to be here." Despite the growing tension, the flight attendant remained firm. But little did she know, her actions were being watched closely. Immediate consequences. A senior airline supervisor, alerted by the commotion, arrived at the scene. After quickly reviewing the situation and watching the passengers' recordings, the supervisor took immediate action. "Ma'am, you are not in a position to deny boarding based on personal opinions," the supervisor sternly told the attendant. "Step aside." The flight attendant tried to argue, but the supervisor wasn't having it. Within minutes, she was relieved of her duties and escorted away by security. Meanwhile, Leavitt was personally escorted onto the plane, where she received applause from several passengers. The fallout. The story quickly went viral. Videos of the incident flooded social media, with users from all political backgrounds condemning the flight attendant's actions. The airline was forced to release a public statement, apologizing to Leavitt and reassuring the public that such behavior was unacceptable. As for the flight attendant, she was officially terminated from her position the very next day. Leavitt later addressed the incident in a social media post. "We live in a country where freedom of speech and thought should be respected. No one should be denied service because of their political beliefs. I appreciate the swift action taken by the airline and the overwhelming support from fellow Americans." The incident served as a stark reminder that personal politics should never interfere with professional duties. And for one flight attendant, a moment of bias ended up costing her more than she could have imagined.